Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ground and Pound cast. It is your host, the World's OK Jiu-Jitsu Blue Belt Vince. I am just so excited for next week's card. I just have so much I want to say. There's stuff I've been wanting to say for like a good year now, and now the fight is actually coming up, and I've just been itching. Last week I was dying to say stuff, but I just knew I needed to hold off one more week, and now is the time to say all the things I've been wanting to say for so long. But I don't want to jump into it just yet because I have so many things I want to say, and I don't want this to turn into a one-man show because I am joined with the soothsayer of the MMA world, Nostradamus. We call him Roy for short. Tell everybody hi, Roy.
Hello. Welcome to the Ground and Pound cast, everybody. This week we are going into one heck of a card.
Oh, my God. An amazing card from top to bottom, but more than anything, this main event, I am just so anxious. I'm excited. I have so many thoughts, and if I start talking now, it's going to sound like this is a one-man show, and it's not a one-man show. I just have so many things I have to say. So I think in all fairness, I'm going to have to turn it over to you, Roy. You kick this show off. You look at this main event, UFC 328. You have Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev for the UFC middleweight championship. There's so many things I need to say, so many things I want to say, but Roy, I want you to take the reins first. Talk us through this fight. What do you think is going to happen? How's it going to play out? Just anything you want to say in this fight, go.
All right. There is no big surprise in this fight that's going to come out of it. Khamzat isn't going to come out there and try to toe-to-toe outbox Sean Strickland. Even though he put out that footage of him doing just that in the gym, he's not going to come out there and outbox Sean Strickland. In the first minute of the fight, Khamzat's going for that double leg. It's always a double leg. And Sean is going to have to figure out how he's going to respond to that, whether he can get back up again, if he can sprawl effectively. How good is his counter grappling? We're going to check his grappling, as they say. But the key for Sean in this fight is don't teep. That just gives him one of your two legs, and he likes to have both legs. And keep the jab working the whole way through it. You've got to make contact, but I don't see Khamzat giving him the opportunity to do much more than just get subbed in the first or second round.
So long story short, you are saying it's going to just be an absolute wrestle fest for 1 to 2 rounds, and it's going to be a submission.
Yep, it's going to be a submission. Khamzat has to kill this notion that he is boring by finishing this fight. After what happened with DDP, he dominated the fight. He landed more strikes than has ever been landed in a single contest before. But they weren't significant strikes. He has to show this time that he can still finish people at the highest level.
Right. Now, when people talk about him being boring, that's just what I like to call recency. Like I've invented the term. I'm not the one who invented the term. We all know it as recency bias. His last fight against DDP, yeah, he just kind of laid on him for 25 minutes, but he has an 80% finish rate. So he's not a boring fighter. He's not someone who just point fights. He can knock you out. He can submit you. So, yeah, I don't buy into this notion that a lot of other fans do that he is boring. I've never said he's boring, so I won't be saying that. I know you don't think that. I know Rick doesn't think that. But you're sticking with first or second round submission.
Yep.
All right.
Most likely rear naked.
All right. Rick has given me his thoughts in very short response. First round rear naked choke. He didn't even say submission. He said rear naked choke, very specifically. First round rear naked choke. So between the both of you, you agree that by no later than the second round, it's going to end by submission.
Yeah, this Khamzat's going to go out there and make an example out of Sean.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Sean's chances? Maybe any possible other way that it might play out, or anything else you want to say on this fight, period? Anything at all?
Sean's mouth got him into this position. It got him a shot at the belt. He's going to have to rely on a lot more than his mouth to get him out of it now. He's he's talking about, oh, if I see him, I'll tell you what, I'll shoot people and all that garbage. When he gets locked in that cage with Boers, he's going to learn the meaning of fear, I have a feeling.
All right. So I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
All right. So when it comes to all the stuff he's saying, I'm going to shoot him, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really down with all that. I don't really care about the stuff he says. Sometimes he says stuff I agree with, sometimes I don't, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I only care about whenever I make these predictions and how I think the fight's going to play out, I just focus on how they fight, stylistically, skill-wise, and all that kind of stuff. And I break down my predictions that way, and I don't really give a damn on what he said in the lead-up or anything like that. All that being said, you did say that there would be nothing surprising in this fight. It's going to play out just like you said. There's going to be no surprises, right?
Right.
And I'm here to say that you are absolutely dead wrong. Sean Strickland is about to surprise a whole lot of people. Am I saying he's going to win this fight? No. I recognize that Chimaev is a very dangerous fighter, very hard to beat, is probably on the path to show that he's the greatest middleweight champion of all time. And that's saying something when he's coming, after people like Anderson Silva. The dude seems untouchable. I will admit that. Is this an easy fight for Sean? Absolutely not. Gun to my head, you say, what is the safest bet? I'd probably go with Chimaev. I'm thinking maybe Chimaev late finish, maybe. More likely decision. Now, here's what I'm talking about when I say that you're wrong. I believe you are wrong whenever you say that there's going to be no surprises. I think that you people just keep underestimating Sean Strickland's ability. He's a very unlikable person because of all the stuff he says. Sometimes I don't really mind it. Sometimes I kind of find it funny, to be honest with you. Sometimes cross the line, whatever. He's not the only fighter that's done that. But I don't let that get in the way of my view of him as a fighter. I think he is a lot more skilled than a lot of people, including you, Roy, no offense, give him credit for. That's why I was the only person that was correct. Yes, I'm going to toot my own horn here on his fight with Fluffy whenever he won that fight. He is a lot more dangerous than you guys are giving him credit for. Is he going to get finished in the first round? Absolutely not. Is he going to get finished in the second round? Absolutely not. Is he going to get finished at all? Maybe, but I really doubt it's going to be by decision. If anything, maybe Chimaev can grind him out and wear him down and finish him with a TKO late, maybe. But I'm thinking if he does win, it's going to be more likely by decision. Now, all that being said, I'm seeing it all over the place on the interwebs. On Instagram, on Twitter, or as they call it, X, on Facebook, and even in my own podcast, that I'm crazy, that I'm delusional. Anyone that thinks that Strickland even has a chance is crazy. I follow a lot of channels on YouTube, a lot of content creators in MMA sphere.
No,
every single one.
Vegas has odds on Strickland actually winning this thing.
Right.
Now, some of those odds are 1 in 20,000.
The numbers have to exist because that's how the system works. But the narrative that is out there by people talking on this thing is that Sean has zero chance, as in it is impossible. They could fight a million times, and a million times he will never win. And I'm here to say Sean has a much better chance than you people give him credit for. I will say, I'm not saying he's going to win this fight. I kind of hope he does, just to prove a lot of people wrong. I'm not saying he's going to win the fight. But here's the thing. If you look at styles make matches, right? Stylistically, if you were to try to build a type of fighter that could be Chimaev's biggest challenge, it would basically be Sean Strickland. If you look at everybody in the middleweight rankings right now and you look at their styles and their skills with their styles, I don't think there's anybody that is better suited to take down Chimaev than Sean Strickland. And so all that being said, I think Sean Strickland's going to give him a lot more trouble than people realize. And I think it is even possible that he wins this match. I'm not saying for sure. I'm not saying confidently that's going to happen. But I'm just saying that it is a much better chance than people realize. For Sean to win this match, first of all, you said something that I wholeheartedly agree with you on. That little teep that it likes to throw, don't throw the teep. Chimaev loves double legs, but he will still do a single leg too. And on top of that, sometimes his double legs are actually off of a single leg. He will shoot and get a single leg and keep driving into you and then collect the second leg, and it becomes a double leg, then takes you down. So if Sean is smart, he will be patient. He will use his boxing, not his kickboxing, not his teeps. He will use just his hands, and he will be prepared to try to stuff the takedowns and keep it standing and be patient. If he does this, I could see him outpointing Chimaev to a decision, maybe even wearing him down very slowly over time and possibly getting a finish very late. I'm talking late 4th round, maybe 5th round. Am I saying that's what's going to happen? No, but I'm saying it is a possibility. Whereas no one else thinks it's even a possibility, I'm saying that there is definitely a shot here. This is a much closer match than people are making it out to be.
I think there is a better chance of Khamzat piecing Sean up on his feet than Sean being able to stop the takedown and get back up once Khamzat makes the decision to keep him down.
So I think, and we will see, for sure we're going to see this. So Strickland is known for having pretty good takedown defense against everyone he's fought, that has takedown skills. Sometimes he does get taken down, but he's really good at getting back up. Dricus du Plessis was interviewed talking about this fight, and he said that because he's fought both of them, that Sean Strickland's actually stronger, feels physically stronger whenever he was in grappling exchanges with him. Kind of surprised me, but I'm just repeating what he said. Sean Strickland, if you look at the first fight he had with Dricus du Plessis, he was taken down, I think, 7 times. So you said, well, if Dricus could take him down 7 times, what's Chimaev going to do to him? Good point. However, if you go back and watch that fight, Dricus du Plessis is really good at keeping people down. If every fight he's ever fought and you see he takes someone down, he keeps them down. Except Sean Strickland, he was not able to keep him down. Every time Sean's back or butt hit the mat, he was getting back up very quickly. Does that mean that Chimaev's takedown and control game is no better than Dricus's? That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying that Sean has proven and that he is not easy to take down. Is Chimaev going to take him down? Very likely so. Is it going to be able to keep him down and control him and finish him very quickly, or even control him and pummel him for 25 minutes straight like a lot of people are thinking he's going to do, kind of like Chimaev did against Dricus? I don't think so.
That's because you're betting with your heart and not your mind.
It's not my heart, dude.
There is no evidence. There is nothing evidence-wise to tell you that Khamzat has any weakness that Sean can exploit.
We've seen before, whenever he gets in a firefight standing, he gets tagged and gets dropped. Gilbert Burns dropped Chimaev several times in their fight. And whenever you look at the fight when he had with Kamaru Usman, he was fading in the 3rd round, and Kamaru Usman was actually Gilbert Burns, I think, took down Chimaev at one point. Usman was taking it to Chimaev in the 3rd round because he got worn down. And Sean Strickland has a gas tank that just never seems to end.
Yeah, but Chimaev was able to maintain high-level control in wrestling all the way through the DDP fight without his gas tank waning one bit.
Yeah, because
I think he's got the cardio under control now.
It's because he was using the arm ride, and Dricus didn't know how to deal with the arm ride or the crucifix, whatever you want to call it. We like to call it arm ride in jiu-jitsu. Now, about this whole betting with my heart, it's not my heart, because I'm not a diehard Sean Strickland fan. Sean Strickland, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I love grappling. I prefer grappling. I prefer jiu-jitsu. He hates on jiu-jitsu constantly. He said, quote unquote, that submissions are for pussies. That's an actual quote from him. So he hates on my type of style. I'm not a professional fighter, but still, Sean is not the kind of guy that I look to as my hero in the MMA sphere. So this is not me betting with my heart at all. I have no personal investment in this fight, and I don't really care who wins when it comes to that aspect. I kind of want Sean to win only just to see people get really mad about it, and also just to prove that this whole notion of he has no chance is wrong, because I'm here to say that he has a much better chance than people say. That's the big point that I've been wanting to make this whole time. Because I've been watching video after video from tons of creators over the last week, and every single one of them said he has either no chance or almost no chance.
I 100% agree with those people. Strickland is going to tippity tap tap, just tap tap tappity tap.
1 or 2 rounds, right? He's never been submitted in his entire career.
First 2 rounds, first 10 minutes.
One round according to Rick, 2 rounds according to you. But you said 1 or 2. So if it happens in 1 round, you'll both be right. So I think that's fair. I'm saying no, it's not going to happen.
And you're thinking he's going to grind out a decision?
I think if Chimaev wins, it will be a late finish. I could see probably a TKO if he could, like, over time wear down Sean and find a way to immobilize him on the ground and maybe hit him some really powerful strikes. I think that Sean's submission defense is too good. He's never been submitted for a reason. So I could see him, because, Chimaev does have a handful of KO, TKO wins. If he can wear Sean down, I'm not saying like gas tank wise, but maybe hurt him a bit, keep him down and start working some really nasty ground and pound, maybe a late finish that way, or maybe even make it a decision. He could pummel him for 25 minutes, and I could see him doing what he did to Dricus or something, maybe not exactly that, but like basically just out wrestling him and pummeling him with ground and pound and getting a decision.
And if he does to Sean what he did to Dricus, that's just... One, I couldn't stand it as a fan to watch him just lay on somebody for 25 minutes again.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen just like that. I think that because Sean's going to be harder to keep down. But I mean, the same concept, he's going to use wrestling to outpoint him for 25 minutes. Even if it's not in the same way. I think
that Sean is more likely to get submitted than Dricus was, is because Sean is going to make the effort to get up where Dricus was content to lay there and play it safe so that he wouldn't get subbed. Yeah. Sean's going to make movement to get up, and in the course of that, he's going to open himself up for submissions.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see it happening. But the beautiful thing about this is we will see on Saturday.
Yes, on Saturday.
So that's really the main point I want to say. What is my official prediction? I think the safest bet is to say decision. Even though he has an 80% finish rate, he is a high finisher. I recognize that Sean is hard to put away. I think the safest bet is to say Chimaev by decision. But I'm gonna throw out a wild prediction here. I think that it is possible, and I'm gonna go with the slim possibility because I think in my gut that something might happen. I think that Sean is going to pull off some type of upset, whether it's a very late TKO, because there's not going to be an early TKO, let's be honest with you, or it's going to be a decision. Now, I'll say 2 more points on. I think that's all the points I want to say after I get these 2 more points out of the way. 1, if Chimaev beats Strickland, period. I don't care if it's in first round submission like you said, or if it's a decision later on, it doesn't matter. I think he's going to hold on that belt as long as he wants to and either retire with it or move up to another weight class, because I don't think anybody else in the middleweight division has a better chance at beating Chimaev stylistically than Strickland does. And if Sean wins, we have some very uncomfortable conversations to have about exactly where Strickland fits in the all-time middleweight Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, fortunately, Sean doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of pulling this off. Otherwise, we would be at a real loss for direction in the division when it comes to the GOAT conversation.
See, and that's the point I'm trying to make. He has a much better chance in this than people want to admit it. I have to say it. I got to get this point out.
Don't get emotionally invested in Sean Strickland.
I'm not emotionally invested in this. Part of me wants to see a real jiu-jitsu guy, not a wrestler that has submissions like Chimaev. I want to see like a slick jiu-jitsu guy submit him just to show how great jiu-jitsu is. But then he'll try to play it off like that's not the way a man fights. A man uses his hands. We do the man dance.
Crotch sniffer.
Right.
Yeah.
This isn't the only title fight on this card.
No, we get to see if our paper champion holds up.
So this is a fight where, of course, we're talking about Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira. So like Rick, I have been on the Joshua Van train, the hype train, since he had that amazing fight with Royval. And then he had that fight with Pantoja that ended in a very unfortunate way. And it resulted in him becoming the champion. And a lot of people have been doubting him as champion since then.
Tell me this. This is a point of contention.
Okay.
Do you think Pantoja, it was a fluke injury, or do you think that Van caused it by catching his leg and pushing it?
I know why you're asking this question, and I say it was a fluke injury.
Interesting.
Because Van has come out and said that he made that happen. And I guess technically he did in the very loosest of loosest terms. But in the end, it was more Pantoja landed funny. Van didn't do anything like he didn't use any kind of technical skill to do something slick and suave to make that happen. It's more like there was a little tussle and he landed funny. Pantoja, that is. So yeah, I don't really agree whenever Van comes out and says that he made that happen. That being said, I am not mad that he was awarded the title after that, because at the end of the day, rules are rules. If you're fighting someone, then something happens where you are physically unable to continue, and it's not because of any kind of foul, the other person wins by TKO. That's just the way it works, okay? So I'm not mad that Van is champion. Van has had a really good run up to this title, so I don't really want to call him a paper champion per se. You actually said it best when we talked about him a few months ago, whenever we're talking about his potential upcoming fights. And you said that he is a paper champion, but it's construction paper. It has a little bit of weight to it.
Yep.
And I agree with you on that. So it's one of those things, like I hate to use the term paper champion in general. I can think of very few situations where I want to call someone a paper champion. This is a situation where it's like, okay, he's a champion, but there's an asterisk next to his name. I'm not going to call him a paper champion for now. Let's let him get some title defenses and really, put his foot down in the division to show that he really deserves to hold the title. Until then, I will withhold judgment. I think that's fair. So,
and right now, this is one where he has to defend. He has to win this.
Yes.
Because we need that rematch with Pantoja. Otherwise, we're just back on the carousel where Pantoja comes up, beats Tyra in a few months, and, we're left, what about Van? What happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that is a really good point to bring up, because let's break it down. Hypothetically, Tyra wins this fight, and then what do we do with Van? So we have this situation where Pantoja was not able to actually beat him, so it's unfinished business. He fought him, was not able to get the win, so we want to see Pantoja get that one back. But if Tyra wins, it either doesn't happen, the rematch with Van that is, or it's heavily delayed. You got to keep in mind you still have Manel Kopp that's, waiting for his shot. And, regardless of all that, if you really just break down this fight really is a pick'em. I was looking at Tatsuro Taira's record, and like I was saying earlier, I was kind of on the Joshua Van hype train for a while, and I noticed that Van was an underdog in this fight, but only slightly. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's not even 2-1. It's like somewhere in the ballpark of 1.5 to 1 or whatever. And I was like, how's Van the underdog in this fight when he's the champion? He's looked pretty good overall. And then I really started paying more attention to Tyra, because I'd only seen a handful of his fights. And I realized that he's only had one loss, and his one loss was to Royval, who Van did beat, but it was a split decision, which means that Tyra was one single judge decision away from still being undefeated. If one judge had decided one point in the other direction, Tyra would actually still be undefeated. I think it's pretty interesting to think about. So that being said, man, Van better not be looking past Tyra. He better not be thinking, let me just smoke this clown and then go beat Pantoja. Let me focus on Pantoja. He needs to really pay attention to Tyra, because if not, he will go down as only a fluke paper champion.
Yeah, his entire legacy is on the line right now, whether with this fight. And unfortunately for him, I'm calling Tyra as the winner of this matchup.
If you would have asked me 2 days ago, I would have told you Van. today, I'm actually leaning Tyra. And I hope I'm wrong, simply for the reason that I mentioned. It's simply for the reasons that I just mentioned about wanting to see that unfinished business with Pantoja.
I think Van is a decent enough guy, and and
he's a very good fighter. He is a good fighter.
Good fighter. He checks all the boxes to be a good champion. He just needs to be able to make sure that he defends that belt a few times, and he's got to defend it against Pantoja. And to get to Pantoja, he's got to go through Tyra.
Right. Side note, I saw an interview, I don't know if it was yesterday or a couple days ago. They interviewed Tetsuya Taira on who he thought was going to win the main event, and he picked Sean Strickland.
Well, I didn't say that he's not a drug user, because that's some heavy crack he's smoking.
Well, he's from Japan. What's the opium? What's the popular drug out there? I don't know.
I don't know comparative drug qualities of differing nations.
I don't even know the drug qualities here in the United States. I don't do any unless you talk caffeine. I like my coffee. I love my coffee, man.
See, I can't do coffee. Coffee tastes terrible.
Coffee is heaven sent. What are you talking about? Real men drink coffee. Black coffee. I don't even put cream and sugar in it.
Yeah, but you're an army guy. Y'all are built different.
Well, I actually didn't get into drinking black coffee until I was a civilian. I was more a cream and sugar guy for a while, and I was cutting it out for health reasons. So
interesting.
Yep. But that's really our thoughts on Van and Tyra. Rick has picked Van in this fight, if I remember correctly. So I'm very iffy on this one. I'm just slightly leaning Tyra.
I'm leaning pretty heavily towards Tyra, though I think that if Van can pull it off, it goes a long way to silence the haters on him being a paper champion.
100%. As you said it earlier, like his legacy as a champion is really on the line tonight or this weekend.
Yeah. Now, speaking of legacy,
your favorite division. This is your division.
Back to heavyweight, yes.
Take over. This is your division.
Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Where's Waldo? He's trying to knock your ass out. But this is going to be an interesting fight. Volkov did not do what I wanted Volkov to do against Almeida, but he did pull off the victory. And that's what's important there. But if you want to really get an idea of what Volkov's capable of, go back and watch when he fought Cyril Gahn. I know he lost on the judges' scorecards, but he won that fight. And I don't see Waldo having the cardio to go more than a round and a half without slowing down. Volkov has the cardio and the experience to take advantage of that. I'm calling Volkov TKO into the second.
You know, Volkov's lost to Gahn twice, huh?
No, I did not.
Yep, he lost to him back in 2021, a 5-round decision on a fight night. It was the main event of a fight night back in 2021.
Ah.
And then it was at UFC 310. He lost in that one. And that was the one that a lot of people, including Dana White, said that Volkov got screwed out of that one. So I think if you look at this card from top to bottom, when it comes to like fighters who I like just because of like personality-wise, Volkov might be my favorite simply because he's a metalhead. He seems like just a really cool, chill dude. And I saw a video of him like in a mosh pit at a heavy metal concert, and I was like, yeah, that's my kind of people, the people I like to hang out with. So this is to prove that I don't vote with my heart. I vote with my brain. I think Waldo is just
on. It really bothered you, didn't it?
No, I'm just making a point. Like going back to Sean Strickland, he's a mixed bag. I don't like hate him like I do some fighters, but sometimes he'll say stuff I'm like, why you gotta be like this, man? So I'm not like a diehard Sean Strickland fan. I am a big fan of Volkov. He just seems like a cool dude. That being said, I think Waldo Cortez Costa just has so much momentum on his side right now. Volkov is one of these stagnant names that I've been talking about for a long time that's not really going anywhere. The points you did make are very valid. Volkov is very dangerous. This is a fight that I'm pretty iffy on. And to be honest, when I look at Waldo's last win against Derek Lewis, was that his last fight, or did he have one since then? That was his most recent fight, right? Yeah,
Let you know in just one moment.
Well, he did win that fight, but it wasn't an impressive outing. It was just that Derek Lewis looked that bad. It was a sloppy fight, and Volkov doesn't fight that sloppy. So if I go off of recency bias, if I were to just look at their last two fights, even though Volkov lost that one, his last one, or did he fight someone since the Gone fight? No, he fought Jalton Almeida and won by split decision, but still, off of the last couple of fights, Volkov looked a little bit better. Well, hold on, let me finish this part real quick. The last couple of fights, it almost seems like Volkov has looked a little bit better, but I think if you take the overall body of work, I think Waldo's shown me overall more talent. I think he just has more momentum on his side right now. I think is on his way up, so I think Waldo's going to take this one.
Yeah, see, Waldo hasn't gone past round one since 24. He against Anti-Delija, he was losing that fight, and then Delija poked him in the eye, and he came back when the referee set him. So he really would have lost that one if it wasn't for the fluke eye poke. Gaziv, he beat handily at 1 minute and 20 seconds. And he beat Lewis. Oh, no, he did go into round 2 with Lewis. But Lewis looked rough, like you said.
It was bad. It was so bad.
So I really think that Volkov is going to pull it out on this one. And Acosta is going to – he's going to go back to the drawing board a little bit and refine his fighting ability to be more than just I catch you with a right.
Yeah. We shall see. I mean, it very well could play out that way. I'm not very confident. I haven't really been very confident in any of these picks so far, especially that main event. I'm going with a gut shot on that one. But yeah, all of these fights, Van, Tyra, Volkov, Acosta, I have my predictions on them, but I'm not super confident in all of these. So if you very well could be right. If I'm wrong on this one, I won't be surprised. If I'm wrong on this one, I'll probably be kind of happy because, like I said, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Volkov. I just think Waldo has a bit more momentum on his side right now. So it's really the only thoughts I have on this fight.
Yeah, Waldo's got the momentum, but again, he's only gone, 2 or 3 fights since his last loss? So
Volkov's had one fight.
Bias.
Yeah, Volkov's had one fight since his last loss, and he went to a split decision against. I just had it pulled up like a minute ago. Split decision against Almeida.
Yeah,
that was the one. That's the fight that we talked about where he kept getting taken down, but he was frantically punching from bottom. Yeah. That's not the most impressive way to win. Like if you win by getting taken down at will, he had no takedown defense whatsoever. Like I talk about,
there's no chance of Waldo taking him down.
Right, fair point. But it just that was not an impressive showing by Volkov. Like I remember when we talked about this fight when that happened, handful of episodes back. You said I said Volkov won, and then you finished the statement for me. But at what value? I think is the wording that you chose. Like there's just not much to it, So yeah, I think both at this point where these guys are ranked right around 5. Let's see. I have the rankings pulled up in front of me. Let's see where they're ranked exactly. You have Costa's at 4. Volkov's actually at 2, so he was a little higher than I thought. These guys are both in the top 5, both gunning for a title shot, and I think that they both have shown some big flaws lately, but still show some level of promise. And this is a fight that these guys need to win if they want to stay relevant in this division. This is a must-win fight for both of these guys.
Yeah, at this point, Volkov getting back to a shot at the title he's going to have to earn it. And Acosta is really one fight away from having the opportunity to earn a shot a year from now. Because let's call it what it is. The heavyweight belt isn't up on the line in the near future. You've got the interim belt, and then Tom comes back in, say, 6 months. And then next year, you'll figure out who is next in line to fight the winner of Alex versus Tom.
Right. Yeah, we have all those names at the top that all have to shake out, and the winner of this fight, especially if they look impressive, is likely going to be the next person that we're going to be looking forward to.
But who's going to sit for another year waiting for their title shot? I don't see any of these guys near the top sitting for that long without fighting at all.
Well, I'm going to say this, though, regardless. Volkov, Acosta, whichever one wins, and then whoever ends up becoming champion, whether it's Tom or Pereira or Gane, like the winner. Well, I don't know. If Gane wins, I could see Volkov maybe. That'll be the third fight against him. I don't know. Basically, what I was getting at is like whoever's going to be champion next, I think beats either of these guys most likely.
Yeah,
that's what I think. So, all right. So I guess we'll move on to
Chael predicted that by the end of the year, Hokit would be carrying the heavyweight strap, huh?
By the end of the year, that's interesting. Where's Hokit's 5 now?
Yep.
Because he just beat Blades, who's now dropped to 7.
Well, just the mental gymnastics of what it would take to fulfill that prediction, that's not an easy one to sell.
Well, his next fight is actually someone who's ranked below him in Derek Lewis. So, like, if he wins that fight, he might move up if someone above him looks really bad in a fight and they just kind of do a little shake-up that way. But, like, realistically, you're not really moving the needle a ton by fighting someone that's ranked 4 spots below you. So, really, he's going to need to fight one of these other people towards the top, maybe a Pavlovich or the winner of Acosta Volkov. Actually, he was trying to call out Acosta.
Pavlovich has fallen so far since he fought Tom.
But not in the rankings. He's still 3.
Yeah, but he used to finish people and just be a machine.
I know, and dude, Tom put a fear in him he's never been able to shake out. But back to Hokit, if Acosta wins, maybe we could see Josh Hokit versus Waldo Acosta because Hokit was calling him out, calling him a deadbeat dad and stuff. So
yeah,
we could set that up. Now,
and Hokit is an interesting fighter. I don't remember who he was fighting, but every time the guy would try to lean against the fence, Hokit would put his leg up and kick off the fence and pull him back to the center of the cage.
Oh, talking about not Blades with the guy before that. It was some unranked guy. I don't have it up in front of me, but it was an unranked guy who. Oh my god, that fight was bad.
It was either Freeman or Jimenez.
Freeman. It was a Marine guy. Freeman, where like the dude landed like 1 or 2 strikes.
Yeah,
the entire fight. It was that was pathetic showing. I'm sorry, it was so bad.
I've never been a wrestling fan. The gimmick that Hokit's pulling doesn't appeal to me, but that guy can fight.
Yeah, he's quick. Because he's a smaller heavyweight, so he's faster. But that's
he could definitely go fight at 185 or at least 205 if he wanted.
Yeah, I think because of his height, because you see he has a little pudge on him. If he slimmed down, like cut some fat, and I'm not saying that to judge him because I'm fatter, trust me. But if he trimmed down, I could see him cutting to 185 easily. Where he stands currently, I could see.
Yeah, he's only 6'1".
Right, he should be able to cut to 205 pretty easily, but anyway, that's another. He's not even on this upcoming card. I don't know if you're ready, but I'm ready to go on to the next fight, this welterweight fight.
Yeah, Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley.
Of all the people on this card, Joaquin Buckley is the most annoying. Oh my god! Every time he speaks, and that's saying something because you have Strickland on this card. Buckley's so annoying. And so half of me is voting with logic and half of me is voting with my heart here. Hope Sean Brady chokes his ass out.
Yeah, this is the one that I feel the least confident in my pick with Brady, but I am confident, that I made the pick.
So you got Sean in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Buckley is pretty dangerous, and he's a very athletic guy. 21-7, 15 wins by knockout, so he's got power, and we've seen Brady get tagged up and hurt. So if Brady's not careful, he could get tagged and knocked out. Brady's 2 losses have been by KO, TKO. So if he is patient and doesn't get into a firefight with Joaquin Buckley, I could see him eventually turning into a grappling exchange and beating Buckley by submission. That's what I would like to see. Buckley has never been submitted. So it's all been either decisions or it's been 4 losses by knockout and 3 by decision. So he's never been submitted yet. And Brady is a submission specialist. So I think this is pretty much a striker versus grappler match. I mean, Joaquin Buckley's, I think he's got some wrestling in him, if I remember correctly. So he's not completely lacking grappling credentials, but I see him being the more dangerous striker, Brady being the more dangerous grappler. I hope Brady can pull it off. That's really all I got to say on this fight.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good fight, but you brought up something, and I meant to bring this up earlier when we were talking about Strickland versus Chimaev. Strickland's never been finished, not knocked out. He's never been submitted.
Knocked out. He's been knocked out.
Who knocked him out?
Pereira. And I think also earlier in his career, he has 2 losses by knockout. Let me go. I know one of them's Alex Pereira when they fought at middleweight. And he got knocked out by Alizu Zaleski dos Santos by a spinning wheel kick back when he was a welterweight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was back in 2018. Yeah, back in 2018. And before he became best friends with Alex Pereira, they actually had a fight, and it was a knockout. But, I mean, it's Alex Pereira. Since then, or just outside of those 2, all of his losses have been by decision. And that includes fights against fighters like Kamaru Usman, Jared Cannonier, which was a split decision, and Duplessis
twice. So the real question is, do you think that he taps or that he goes to sleep?
I don't think either's going to happen. I see a more likely scenario that Chimaev, if he finishes him, it'd be him by TKO. I could see him taking him down and TKOing him with ground and pound first. I think it's more likely, but yeah, I've already made all those points.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this welterweight fight. I don't have much else to say beyond that. Brady and Buckley. You have anything else you want to say on that one?
Nope. Brady.
I have the least to say on that fight versus any of the other fights. So this next fight, if there's any fight on this card that I don't know about you, and I don't know about Rick, but what I consider the lock of the night, it is King Green versus Jeremy Stephens. Now, I know we don't like to overuse the term. That's why we use code names like Koopa Troopa. But today I'm going to bring back the word gatekeeper because I think it is very important to use the term in a very literal way. So when you look at Jeremy Stephens, I'm going to look at his last handful of fights here. Okay, you ready for this? Loss, loss, no contest. Loss, 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 win, loss, loss. That is Jeremy Stephens. You have King Green, who is floating either right at the very bottom of the rankings, or maybe I think he just fell just outside of the rankings. He's somewhere right around there. He is, by definition, a gatekeeper. He is standing at that gate. Stephens is like, hey, I want to get back in the rankings because I used to be back into it. I want in this gate. Green's like, to get through this gate, you got to get through me, and Green's not going to let him. I think this is the lock of the night. Jeremy Stephens has not looked good for a very long time. I mean, let me count these again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has, in his last 10 fights, 8 of them have been losses. One of them was a no contest, and one was a win against a no-name person, not even in the UFC. It was when he went over to the PFL. So, Yeah, Bobby Green is going to do gatekeeper stuff. He's like, hey, I'm like right on the cusp of the rankings again. If you could beat me, maybe you could earn your way back into the rankings. But until then, no. I think Green's going to whoop him up.
Yeah, I think that next to the Volkov victory, this is the lock of the night.
Yeah, I think this is the easiest one to predict. And I'm surprised you're admitting that because I would assume that you would consider Chimaev to be the lock of the night. Or did I put some doubt in you? Maybe a little bit? Just a smidgen?
No, it's just that
Does not compute. It's because Stevens has looked so badly that you just can't see him getting wins. Strickland, at the very least, wins matches.
well, when it comes to Khamzat versus Strickland, I do think Khamzat's going to finish that one pretty quickly. But I think that there's a good chance it could grind out to a decision. Volkov and Acosta, that fight's going to end. That one isn't going to decision.
I agree there.
And then with Green versus Stevens, I think Green's going to finish it too.
Yeah. Let me go back to Jeremy Stevens' record here. I'm going to look at those handful of losses. I just listed if they were losses. But let's look at how he's lost. I'm going to start from the bottom up on this 10-fight skid. Even before the 10-fight skid, he's had a lot of losses. But looking at from this 10-fight period where he's had one no contest, one win, and the rest were losses. He got TKO, decision, KO, submission, decision. So roughly half have been he's lost by finish.
Wow, yeah. When is the last time that he won a fight?
He did win back in 2022 whenever he was over in the PFL. It was actually 3 fights ago.
When was the last time he won in the UFC,
2018 against Josh Emmett.
Wow.
That was right before the 10-fight skid that I mentioned. And then even before that, like, he's had a lot of losses, it's crazy because Stevens once upon a time was actually considered a pretty dangerous guy. He was a contender for the title. I don't think he actually fought for the title, but he was like an up-and-comer who was like, you win 1 or 2 more matches, you're going to fight for a title, and he just fell off hard. So King Green is a Koopa Troopa. We love King Green. He's a fun fighter, but we know that he's not, title contender material. But he's a guy who is at least decent, who wins more often than not, which is more than I can say for Stevens. So, oh, God, his overall record, Stevens, that is 29-22. 22 losses. It's so bad. Yeah, that's the lock of the night, dude. Green is winning that fight. I will bet my paycheck on it. Now, we do have some prelim fights. I don't think we need to go through every one of these because there's some other stuff we want to talk about. I want to recap some stuff from last week as well. We have our Gautier, we like to call him Gaucher. He's fighting again, if you remember him. This is a pretty good one on the prelims. We have Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon. That should be pretty good. We got Kopulov's making a return. Kopulov's lost his last few fights, but if you look at all the fights he's lost, it's been against really good opponents. I think that Kopulov's pretty solid, but I looked up his opponent that he's facing, Marco Tullio, and this dude, I think he's making his UFC debut, or maybe he's only had 1 fight in the UFC, so he looks a little bit more inexperienced, but his record is really, really good, and he has a high finish rate. I think that has potential to be a sleeper match. Like, he is coming off of 1 loss, to be fair, but other than that, I mean, overall, he's 14-2. And he's going against Kopylov, so I think that could be a fight. That's on the early prelims. That's the last fight in the early prelims. You probably don't want to miss that one. That's probably going to be pretty good. But I don't think we need to go into in-depth on all these prelim fights. If there's anything sticking out that maybe you want to talk about, feel free, but I don't really see too much.
Yeah, I want to know how you pronounce this middleweight fight with the guy who's 11-0-0. How do you pronounce that name?
Which one? Spell it, because I don't have the... I have the
Baisangur.
I don't see that. I don't see what you're talking about.
Really?
The only middleweights. Oh, wait. I see it now. He's going against the Jordan Santos.
Yep.
Okay, so oh my goodness. That is a name. That is one of the trickiest names I've ever seen on this podcast of me trying to pronounce. It's been a while since I looked and really struggled at a name. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Baysangur Susurkayev.
Susurkayev.
I'm going to spell it for the audience. It's Baisangur. That's the first name. Last name Susurkaev. Susurkayev. Baysangur Susurkayev. Sounds good. All
Let's
right.
see, where is this guy from?
It's got to be Russia or one of the
Russian professional mixed martial artist. You called it.
Yeah. Well, if it's not Russian, it's one of the Russian adjacent countries, like the ones that are close by or broke off from Russia, like Ukraine or something like that. Or Georgia. But yeah, before we go, I also want to talk about last week's card because we never got to do a recap. We don't need to break down every single fight, but I have some stuff I really want to talk about from last week.
All right. Well, big thing. We had 2 heavyweight fights. Tai Tuivasa versus Louis Sutherland. Result, both of them should be cut from the UFC.
I agree.
And Shamil Ghazayev versus Brando
Pericik.
Yeah. And it was all right.
Our Lion King monkey guy, Rahiki. It's actually Rafiki in Lion King, but Rahiki looked really good. The featherweight. Remember we talked about we root for him because he sounds like the monkey from Lion King. Now, I actually want to talk about this fight. So, Prates beat your boy JDM and looked so good doing it. Prates.
I really thought that JDM was going to go out there and do something. And I don't know how you managed to break a nose that's already that mangled, but Prates did it.
So I honestly think Prates is the best striker in the welterweight division right now. He did lose to Ian Gary. Ian Gary is a very well-rounded fighter who, if you're better at him on one side of things, he's going to take it the other way. So, for example, he's not a better striker than MVP, so he out-grappled him. He's not a better striker than Prates, so he out-grappled him. But there's been other fights where he wasn't a better grappler, so he outstruck him. He almost beat Shavkat by doing that. Actually, he almost out-grappled Shavkat at one point. All that being said, Prates' only loss in UFC has been to Ian Gary, and he made it very competitive at the end. And when it comes to the stand-up game, nobody's been able to touch Prates. Prates versus the MVP would really, really fun to watch because of how good of strikers they are, but I don't think that would be good for Prates simply because you're fighting way down in the rankings when you're looking at contending for the title, so why go backwards? But I'm just saying it would be a fun fight to watch regardless. I think Prates is the best striker in the welterweight division. That being said, he is trying to get a shot at the title, and the other people that are right now in the title picture are going to be, of course, the champion Islam Makhachev and Ian Gary, who's already lost to. Again, it was still kind of competitive in that last round. That being said, Prates is probably going to be fighting for a title very soon, and I think Prates is really good. He's very dangerous, and I'm going to say it for the fourth or fifth time. I say he's the best striker in the welterweight division, and whenever he finally gets that title shot, he is going to definitely lose.
I think the next time that we see Prates fight, it'll be against Morales because he's just not the kind of guy to sit there idle waiting on Islam to get ready.
Fair, and that would be a great fight.
Yeah, I think that we're going to get to see Prates fight one more before he goes after the strap.
I think it's the perfect fight for him too, Morales. Now, the reason why I say I think he's going to lose is because JDM is not a wrestler. JDM is a boxer. He's a striker who got completely ragdolled in the wrestling department by Islam, to be fair, who's one of the best wrestlers, him and Chimaev, best wrestlers in all of the UFC. But JDM is not a wrestler. and JDM took down Prates several times. Now, it amounted to nothing. He was not able to do anything with it. Prates would get back up and just go back to striking, and he outstruck the good striker in JDM. But the point I'm making is, if JDM can take you down, he took him down, was it 3 times, I think? And there's, I think, one time Prates couldn't even get back up. It was towards the end of the round, to be fair, but he just kind of stayed on his back until time ran out. And I think to myself, if JDM, who's not a wrestler, can take you down and hold you down long enough to let the time run out for either the first or the second round, what is Islam Makhachev going to do to you?
Yeah, Islam is on a different level than JDM. We saw what he did against Jack Dingo
Ate my mama?
Mandela.
Yeah.
But we saw what Islam did to him, and it's going to be an uphill climb for Prates to be able to fight Islam. Of course, before that happens, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see Islam versus Gary.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next fight to make, and I agree with you that Prates versus Morales would be good. In the meantime, that could be your number 1 contender fight. So the winner of Fight A fights the winner of Fight B, and that's going to be your next title fight. So that's basically it there. I also want to talk about this co-main. If we're done with this main event, I'm ready to jump to this co-main. So
we all called this one as the lock of the night.
Yes. Now, that being said, I have to be very transparent here. I have to be very honest. I have been, ever since that disgusting head kick KO that Salkild did, and then he's had several KO and submission finishes also in the UFC outside of just that head kick KO. This kid is just on fire. This young man has future star written all over him, right? I think he has a bright future ahead of him. That being said, Beneil Dariush doesn't really have much of a chin. He's lost his last handful of fights by KO. It's very unfortunate. I think we're starting to see the fall off of Dariush. But Dariush shows that he still has some offense. He still has some fight in him. He is not a very clean technical striker, but he does hit hard when he does hit. He does have a handful of KO wins, and he has a very good submission game. The reason why I'm mentioning all that is because if you actually watched the fight and paid attention, you didn't just like, oh, Salkild's going to win this and played on your phone until you looked up and saw that Salkild had won by knockout. If you actually paid attention to this fight, Dariush was winning that fight. He was winning the fight in every single striking exchange. He was actually working in some grappling. He was making Salkild work for it. And then Salkild was able to kind of like, he was kind of in a clinch position, then kind of spun Dariush around and then threw a strike that just caught Dariush and stunned him because, again, Dariush doesn't have much of a chin anymore. And then after he stunned Dariush, he swarmed on and was able to finish him off, which is great for Salkild. Good win. But let's be real here. Dariush was giving him the work for about 2 minutes. So if Salkild does want to continue rising the rankings and fight some of the best in his division, if he wants to show that he is a future star and wants to get a future shot at the title, he has some work to do.
He's an exciting guy. I love watching Salkild get out there and do his thing, and it's been exciting seeing him climb up the rankings. But end of the day, if he's going to go up there and try to fight against someone like Ilya, he needs a little more experience.
A lot more experience.
You could always go ahead and give him Benoit Saint Denis.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are in the middle of the rankings. Saint Denis, Moicano. There's a handful of names here that you could put him against to build him up. Because if you put him up the rankings too quickly, he's going to get killed at the top. Because I'm going to say it again. If you don't remember, go back and watch the fight between Dariush and Salkild. Dariush was taking it to him. I called this the lock of the night. Dariush is, up to this point, winning this round. And then Salkild turned it around. But Dariush was actually taking it to him for about 2 minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Saint Denis about to be coming off of a loss. So, I think he'll be a good...
We'll see. Yeah, he's fighting Patty, so that could be a good fight. We already talked about that potential fight, so.
Yeah, we all, after what happened between Patty and Gaethje, we all had the same thought, BSD.
Yep. And then I say the winner of that fight, or maybe the loser of that fight, one of those two, maybe fight Cell killed. But yeah, if you were getting outworked by Dariush for the way you did, or is it maybe that we're underestimating how good Dariush still is when it comes to an offensive standpoint? Maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little column A, little column nah.
Yeah, I mean, he was still, he looked good for a couple of minutes, and then Cell Kid was like, all right, let me stop underestimating this old man. Let me turn around and start punching him. And then once he did, yeah.
It was over.
Yep. Now, the rest of this card, there's not a whole lot to say. You already covered the two heavyweight fights. We had the Urseg Tim Elliott fight. That was actually a really fun fight. I really liked that fight. What was the fight of the night was Parachicken Gaziv. Interesting. Performance of the night was Prates and Sal Killed. Both of them got performance of the night bonuses. So,
oh, and we've got to give credit where credit's due. Rick and I agreed on everything except for the main event. I was wrong. I chose Jack Dork Mondel, and Carlos Prates won it. But Rick chose Prates and managed to get his first 100% right predictions on the main card.
Yep, and that was on a fight night, which means it was 6 fights to get right instead of 5. I got 5 out of 6 because I picked Gaziv to beat Parachick. But I got the rest right.
Yep, I just got the main event wrong.
Yep, and so he got all 6, and then I got the one of the heavyweight fights wrong. So Parachick did look pretty good in that fight, to be fair. Yeah. Rahiki, I'm going to keep my eye on Rahiki because that was actually a pretty solid performance as well. He didn't win a performance bonus, but it only went, a little over 2.5 minutes. But in that time, he looked solid. So featherweight, Marwan Rahiki, let's remember that name.
Yep, we'll be seeing more of him. He's 9-0 at this point. He could definitely climb up the featherweight rankings.
Yep. Well, that's basically all I got on last week. You already covered next week. I am just so excited. So before you and I were even talking UFC, like we've known each other forever, but we weren't like talking UFC stuff. Whenever Sean Strickland was champion, we were talking about some of his potential challengers upcoming. And at that time, Chimaev was coming off a win against Usman. And I can't remember the exact timeline of the order of every specific fight, but the recent fight, and again, this is admittedly recency biases on my own behalf, but we saw the fight that was Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. And we saw Chimaev versus undefeated Chimaev against Usman, which was a 3-round fight. And based off of those two performances, Strickland looks so much better. And Rick and I were talking about, okay, now that Strickland is champion, who are some potential challenges for him? And we had mentioned DDP. We had mentioned a rematch with Izzy because maybe Izzy was having an off day. And we also mentioned Chimaev because he's this undefeated guy that's rising up the rankings. And I had a very long conversation with them saying that I think Chimaev would not win that fight. Now, that's before we really started seeing Chimaev really turn up and start being more dominant in his wins against much better people. But I actually broke down stylistically why I think Strickland would beat this undefeated Chimaev guy. And then things played out since then where Strickland got 2 losses against DDP. Chimaev goes up, wins the title. The reason why I'm mentioning all that is because that was a couple of years ago at this point. So I was already talking about the potential matchup between these two for a couple of years now. Like, how long ago? Let's look it up real quick. How long ago was the fight between Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya? That was 2023. So that was 2.5 years ago because it was late 2023. So I've actually been talking about this potential match for about 2.5 years. Yeah. So I've been saying I want to see this fight because I think Sean could be the guy to beat Chimaev. And I've been saying that for literally over 2 years. Now, they've both evolved a little bit since then, and I have kind of changed my stance a little bit because I've seen some other grappling footage and training from Chimaev, that is. And I'm like, maybe I kind of underestimated his grappling. But at the same token, I've been talking about wanting to see this fight for over 2 years. And now it's about to happen. And there's gold on the line. And I am in the minority of people thinking that he actually has at least a chance. So we will be watching this closely. We are hoping we could possibly live stream from the YouTube channel, us all watching the fights together. We're going to try to make it happen. I know we've been talking about doing it for a little while, but we've had some technical things happen where we just haven't been able to quite make it happen just yet. But we're planning on all getting together, all three of us. We're going to try to live stream to YouTube, and we're going to be watching this. And I am just so excited. And you know what? It's not just that fight. It's not just the main event. This whole card's good. So
yeah, the whole card is fire. The main card, at least. The prelims, even there, you've got some great matchups between Grant Dawson and Matsuts Rebecki.
It's Mateus Rebecki.
Yeah,
it's a really good fight. Is Gautier, but we call him Gaucher because Louisiana name. Remember we talked about him, Atiba Gautier, the Cameroonian, and he looked really good in his last fight. I keep hyping Kopylov. I know he's lost his last couple, but I still think he's a really good fighter, and he's going against a guy who's actually looks really solid. Pat Sabatini. Then you have some names that I can't pronounce. There's actually some pretty decent names on the undercards. And then even the names that we don't know, they could still be fun fights. You never know. And in this main card, there's not a single bad fight on this main card.
Yeah, Kopylov's got nothing to feel bad about. His losses, in 24, he lost to Fluffy. In 25, he lost to RoboCop and Paulo Costa.
Yeah, and I was there for the Costa fight. That was when they fought in New Orleans. So I got to see that one live. I got pictures of that fight. Actually, I don't have pictures of the fight. I have pictures of Costa whenever he came out and he was like posing and stuff, after his walkout. I don't remember if I have any Kopylov pictures.
Did you hear that? Have you heard the latest on the White House? They're only going to have something like 7,500 seats, and they're going to go to active duty service members.
No, I haven't really paid attention to that.
Well, originally they had said that they were going to have an 80,000 person stadium built. Now it looks like those 80,000 people will be out beyond the reflecting pool instead of on the actual White House lawn.
Yeah, but they also said that they were going to have like 7 or 8 title matches, and you see how that played out.
Yeah,
bottom line
I
is
thought they were going to have a bunch of unifications from interims.
Yeah, bottom line is don't listen to politicians.
Bottom line's what?
Don't listen to politicians.
No, they will mislead you on your MMA.
Right. Why is that? Hold on. We are not a political channel, and I'm honestly not someone who's really ingrained in politics. And for those of you listen that hate it, look, don't worry, we're not going to go that route. That's not what this channel's about. But I just want to say real quick, like, why is there politics ingrained in my sport? I don't want to see that. Just, I know that Dana White is big friends, old time friends, business, colleagues for many, many decades now with Donald Trump. So I kind of get it, but yeah. I just want the sport, man. That's all I care about. It's just the sport.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Unfortunately, this is a sport that once you compete at the White House is going to be forever intertwined in the political discussion and discourse in the country.
Hey, side note, because I just noticed it as you were talking here, I have Kopylov's record in front of me, just from Wikipedia. His last win was actually in 2025 against Chris Curtis, And it was in the very last second of the match. 3-round fight.
Wow.
4 minutes, 59 seconds, TKO. Head kick. 1 second remaining. And that was Chris Curtis, which is Sean Strickland's like training partner / podcast co-host and all that. It's like one of his best friends. So he's really annoying. Very annoying.
Well, it always says something if you can get a knockout in the last second of the match. At least you don't give up.
Yeah. I hope Kopylov wins because I want to see him get back in a win record or win column. He's really fun to watch. So he's going against a guy when, again, just looking at Wikipedia, doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. So I thought, who's this guy? A nobody. But he's 14-2, which is actually a better record than Kopylov because Kopylov's 14-5. His last fight was actually a loss. It was his UFC debut. No, it's not his UFC debut. He's had a few fights. He's had 1-2 wins in the UFC. Then he had a canceled bout with Michelle Pereira, and then he fought Christian Leroy Duncan and lost. And then, he's fighting Kopylov. So I think that one might be a pretty good fight.
Yeah, he hit my radar originally when he fought RoboCop, and it was a good fight. RoboCop won it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I thought it was going to go to a knockout because both have a high knockout rate, but they both made it, and they both landed good shots on each other. But this guy that Kopylov is fighting his name is Marco Tullio. He's 14-2 with 10 wins by knockout. So it's a dangerous dude.
Yep.
Should be fun, man. Should be a fun one. I'll be watching that one. So anyway, that's all I got. Make sure you guys tune in. Check us out on the YouTube. Whenever the fights start, go look us up on YouTube because we just might be live streaming.
Yep. The Ground and Pound Cast is the name of the channel. Go check us out there. All our shows are there.
Yep. All of our episodes, and even I have one other video that's not a proper podcast episode where I was talking about an eye injury that I had in competition, but that's from ages ago. But yeah, go check us out. We're going to try to do a little bit more streaming from there from time to time, and it'll be a fun time. So that's all I got.
Yep.
So do us all a favor, all the usual things, like, subscribe, tell your friends if you like us, tell your enemies if you don't. Help us build, and we'll keep on bringing awesome MMA news and breakdowns and all that stuff for all of you fine people.
Cool.
Oh, and I haven't done this in a very long time. I was supposed to do this every episode, and I just haven't done it forever, so I just got to do it one more time.
Oh, don't. No. What has Power Slap ever done to you?
Just completely ruined my faith in humanity. It's given CTE to people I used to have respect for. It is the lowest form of combat sports. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Power slap and all forms of slap fighting is the worst of combat sports.
Well, which would you rather compete in, power slap or bare knuckle?
Bare knuckle. At least I could defend myself. At least I can move my head out the way. Speaking of, I have a BKFC subscription. I think you and I should tune into those fights sometimes as well.
Yeah,
they're really
I'm
fun.
Down for that.
Yep. All right, so tune in next week as we break down UFC 328. So we will all see you then.